Strapz.
Preferably
Wow.
residential area.
It is now 9:47. You are tuning in to the Not for the Bay podcast. This is Devore. Be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button, and most definitely share. Also, be sure to go ahead and follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. Action pack episode as usual. Like we're counting down to the final 53-man roster. A lot of roster moves have been done over the past several hours. We're going to jump into a couple of those roster moves, along with we're going to bounce this thing back to the Dallas Cowboys and their offensive line situation, considering the fact that they're going to be without Tyron Smith possibly for the whole season. Jimmy Garoppolo's contract renegotiation that he had, or restructure he had with the San Francisco 49ers. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles ended up making a trade too as well. So we got a lot of NFL transactions that went on today. But first things first, let's go ahead and get into the final 53-man roster. For those that do not know what this means, the 53-man roster refers to a maximum number of players that an NFL team can keep on its roster during the regular season. Each NFL team can only have 53 men on its roster by the start of the regular season. So before the deadline, they must cut, release, put players on their practice squad or add them to the physically unable to perform list if a player is injured. So simply put, in what they call it, the book for dummies. Simply put, each NFL franchise has to bring their roster down to 53 players in total, and all the players that are unable to play at this point, they have the option of putting them onto the physically unable to perform list, where they can be brought back to the active roster during the season without losing them for the remainder of the season. So speaking of which, it just reminded me, a light bulb just went off in my head. I just looked at the Houston Texans cut Marlon Mack, which he's one of my running backs on my fantasy team. I got to end up cutting him, and I just thought about Kenyon Drake, considering the fact he just ended up passing his physical for the Baltimore Ravens, so he may end up being my running back. Hopefully nobody in the fantasy team on the fantasy league is listening to this right now, because I'm making that move right now as we speak. Just bear with me for 1 second. I was thinking about actually wait until after waivers, but I got no choice. I need that running back bad. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get into Jimmy Garoppolo, because this news broke yesterday. So Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers worked out a contract restructure worth $6.5 million and guaranteed as much as almost $16 million. Obviously, a lot of playing time bonuses play a factor in it, where he can earn up to, that can go up to almost $9 million, where it can end up being $16 million. Excuse me. In the contract and the restructure, it states that he has a no trade clause, a no tag clause. So basically, he's going to be with the San Francisco 49ers for the remainder of the year. Like, there will not be a trade happening in San Francisco as regarding trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021 threw for 3,810 yards and 20 touchdowns and had 12 interceptions and a 9-6 record. Also led the San Francisco 49ers to a playoff berth in 2021. Now, here's the thing. 2000 before the 2020 draft, 21 draft, excuse me, before the 2021 draft, the 49ers made a trade with the Miami Dolphins. It was a blockbuster trade. They ended up acquiring the third overall pick from the Dolphins. In exchange, they had to give up the 12th overall pick in the 2021 draft, the first round pick in 2022 draft, and the 2023 draft, and the third round pick in the 2022 draft. So they basically gave up a haul to end up getting that third overall pick in the 2021 draft to obviously acquire Trey Lance. Now, Trey Lance's development hasn't exactly gone as expected over the past 2 years. Last year, showed signs that he wasn't exactly ready to become the franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, which they ended up going back to Jimmy Garoppolo. It's to where they ended up making it to the postseason under Jimmy Garoppolo. Uh, they say Trey's the guy going into the 2022 season, but judging by this contract restructure, he's not exactly confident. Now I know there's a saying out there where we want competition at every single position, but they don't literally mean that literally when it comes down to the quarterback position. Like, they literally just want one particular guy to be the starter, that everybody else be the backup. Because I'm pretty sure, well, I know they want to assure their quarterback, like, you have nothing to worry about, just go out there and do your thing, but don't stink up the place because we're going to end up drafting your replacement sometime in the near future. But it just shows, like, even if the San Francisco 49ers keep on reiterating the fact that Trey Lance is the guy. Unfortunately, I'm just not a believer. Like, you had an opportunity to go ahead and get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo to assure Trey Lance that he is the guy, but that you failed to do that. Like, you could have possibly walked away with I believe the report was some second round picks, the most for Jimmy Garoppolo, which is pretty high for Jimmy Garoppolo in my honest opinion. Um, I think the asking price was like a first round pick. But I think that's kind of crazy for to ask for a first round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. But it just causes controversy in the locker room, for the other players, because there's obviously going to be players that prefer Jimmy, and there's going to be players that prefer Trey Lance. For example, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles back in the, what was it? What was the Super Bowl year? I want to say that was the 2018 year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where Carson Wentz was the starter throughout the whole season. He ends up having a season-ending injury towards the end of the season, and then Nick Foles came in and had that magical run. And not only just the players, but the fans were divided as far as who should be the guy. Who should be the guy? Like, a lot of folks had a problem with Carson Wentz. Oh, excuse me, they forgot about Carson Wentz after the Super Bowl run with Nick Foles. Like, no quarterback literally wants to look over their shoulder at their backup, but that could possibly take the job. And also, like I said, going back to the fans, like, even in the stands, the second that a quarterback throws a pick six, or doesn't show signs of productivity where they can actually make a run and getting into the playoffs, you're going to hear it in chants. You're definitely going to hear it in chants. So I felt like the San Francisco 49ers did a horrible job of handling this situation between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. And honestly, I felt like I'm pretty sure everybody and they mama was thinking back in the before the 2021 draft that the 49ers are going to go ahead and go with Justin Fields anyway, considering the fact that Justin Fields ended up going to the Shanahan camp, excuse me. So Hey, I feel like it was one of those situations where we see something with this guy. Like we'll see. We'll see. But I felt like it was a little bit premature for the San Francisco 49ers to go ahead and draft Trey Lance anyway, because you had you had some success with Jimmy. Yes, you had some situations where Jimmy would turn the ball over, but he was getting the job done. He took you to the playoffs and a Super Bowl. So you really cannot complain about Jimmy Garoppolo's productivity with the San Francisco 49ers. All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints ended up making a trade where the Eagles acquiring safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and a seventh round pick in 2025. In exchange, the New Orleans Saints will get a fifth round pick in 2023 and a later Eagles sixth round picks in 2024. So when you look at the secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles, you have James Bradbury on the boundary corner, Darius Slay at boundary corner, and you got Marcus Epps at the free safety position. Now, when you end up adding a Gardner Johnson, you're adding some versatility to your defense. For being honest, he can come out there and he can play safety for you in the base 4-3 or 3-4 package. I think they're running a 4-3 if I'm not mistaken. Base 4-3 package, and then when they switch over to the nickel, they can bring him down into that nickel slot corner position, and he would be productive. But this trade happened like right after the Philadelphia Eagles ended up making that cut for Anthony Harris, the safety. So I like the move, honestly. In 2021, Gardner Johnson had 46 tackles, 3 interceptions. So he's productive. I know he wants to have the recognition of being the best slot corner. When I was on the other channel, you know how I feel about that term, like the best slot corner. I feel like you need to be able to need to play boundary, and you need to be able to play the nickel. If you're going to be the best slot corner, why not strive to be the best corner? That's just me. That's just me. And this goes back to the days with the whole Bobby McCain situation where he was graded as one of the best slot corners in football, and they paid him like one of the best slot corners in football. But it's a good move for the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, provides versatility for them in their secondary. I feel like their secondary this year in 2022 is going to improve drastically. Like I said, and them adding James Bradbury, who got cut from the New York Giants, and as Darius Slay is still up there as far as being one of the best corners in football. And then of course you have the question mark in Marcus Epps. But I feel like they can most definitely get it done. They still have a pretty decent front four where you have Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. So I wouldn't say it's the best in the NFCs, because you look at the NFCs, they have some pretty talented pass rushing groups, which leads into the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a couple episodes ago, we discussed the whole situation with Tyron Smith and going to be missing some extensive time for the Dallas Cowboys due to a hamstring injury. Now, we kind of touched on what is the Dallas Cowboys possible solutions at the left tackle position. Like it was looking at first that the rookie that they drafted in the first round this past draft, 2022 draft, he was going to be going in and playing the left guard position. But it was announced that Tyler Smith, excuse me, is going to be playing the left tackle position this year. And I was thinking before this whole injury thing went down, like I felt like this was a perfect situation for Tyler Smith. He can go in there, be right next to Tyron. He can learn from the best in the game. And when it was Tyron's time to go, Tyler could just go ahead and just slide over to that left tackle, and they would not miss a beat for the Dallas Cowboys. But that time has come a little sooner than expected with Tyler Smith. Uh, he's got a very very he's got a couple of interesting matchups coming up in Dallas. Interesting matchups coming up in the upcoming season. But I want to go ahead and read you the starting lineup for the Dallas Cowboys going into the 2022 season. So you have Tyler Smith at left tackle. Left guard, you're going to have Connor McGovern. Center is going to be Tyler Biadasz. I finally got that right. At the right guard position, you have the All Pro Zach Martin, and at the right tackle position, we talked about Terrence Steele before. He's a little suspect too at that position. Um, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But the Dallas Cowboys' first game of the season, they're going to end up playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. Primetime game, Sunday Night Football, where he's going to be going up against Shaquille Barrett, one of the best pass rushers in football. Then you look at the Los Angeles Rams. I believe that's week 3. And then you have the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson. And then you got the game in Washington where you're going up against that front four with Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, and Matt Ioannidis, and Chase Young if he comes back at that time. And then of course you have Philly. So you have some pretty tough matchups coming up for the Dallas Cowboys. Which honestly, I'm excited for the Dallas Cowboys. I've been extremely hard on Dak Prescott since he came into the league because of the fact that his record against good teams is not very good. So this gives him the opportunity to prove me wrong. Are you worthy of being a starting quarterback in this league? Excuse me. Are you worthy of this $200 million contract that you received from the Dallas Cowboys? That's what we're looking forward to seeing. And since we're on the topic of left tackle, see how these just transition in together? Like it's just a beautiful thing. So the Las Vegas Raiders, they decided to waive the 2021 first round pick. I believe it was 17th, Alex Leatherwood, uh, due to it just wasn't panning out for him in the Las Vegas Raiders. His productivity was just not there. Um, he was being outplayed by uh, seventh rounder Thaler Munford and Jermaine Aluminor. So it was just not working out for Alex Leatherwood. So it's a possibility the Dallas Cowboys can end up making a move and and possibly sign Alex Leatherwood and possibly plug him in at guard. Um, it's a possibility, but I'm pretty sure a lot of teams are going to be in the running for Alex Leatherwood. The Miami Dolphins, they could be in the running. The New York Jets, considering the fact they just lost Mekhi Becton. Um, a lot of teams could use a left tackle for a low risk, high reward um, situation going into the 2022 season. But it's also I ended up missing out on excuse me. I'm missing out on also the trade. The Las Vegas Raiders ended up trading Trayvon Mullen to the Arizona Cardinals for a 2023 conditional 7th round pick, and it's a possibility that could become a 6th round pick. So Trayvon Mullen, he was a 2019 2nd round pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. So I believe that situation was when they ended up getting Rock Yasin in a trade, and then in the trade, and then they ended up signing Anthony Everett, and then of course Nate Hobbs, the slot corner. He's being productive with the Raiders. That ended up making Trayvon Mullen expendable. So they ended up making that move to the Cardinals, which I feel like that's a good move for the Cardinals, considering the fact that outside of excuse me, outside of Byron Murphy, there is really no depth at the cornerback position for the Arizona Cardinals. So I feel like this would help them out a lot. So I went ahead and just looked at it. It was actually a report that came up on Twitter earlier. And I looked at it. Under the new regime of Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, like like when you come under a new regime like this, they are not obligated to keep anybody on the roster that was here prior to them coming here. They want to go ahead and bring in their own guys. That's just what it is. So let's just go over the list. Since the whole John Gruden era started, the first round picks that they've had. Um, Clinton Farrell, the the fourth overall pick in the 2019 draft, which I felt in that draft screwed up the whole draft when they made that move because folks just thought that was just a reach. Like everybody was sold, feet on the table that they was going to go ahead and go with Josh Allen. Unfortunately, he ended up going, I think, 3 picks after that to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Josh Jacobs, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, which he better play his ass off because he's on my fantasy team and he is one of my main backs. So if you're gonna go out swinging. Like I'm expecting 1,000 yards. I know with Josh Jacobs, durability hasn't been his strong suit for them. Um, they have a lot of confidence in Zamir White, hence why they ended up letting go of Kenyon Drake. Jonathan Abram, also they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, which kind of makes sense. If Josh McDaniels is coming over, he's bringing that. I'm pretty sure he's bringing that New England, somebody from New England with that New England defense of scheme, where Jonathan Abram doesn't fit because he's a liability in pass coverage, and they like versatility at both safety positions where they can come down and possibly man up the tight end. Uh, 2020, you have Henry Ruggs. That situation where he ended up getting into a car accident. Excuse me, he was driving drunk, and unfortunately ended up taking a young lady's life. So he is facing charges. We're looking into that as we speak. Damon Arnett, he ended up getting waived from the Raiders during the season last year, if I'm not mistaken. During the season last year, due to the fact that this is ridiculous too. He was driving with a suspended license. That got pulled over twice, and the second time they found some cocaine in his car. Like, I'm sorry, that's like how stupid can you get? But hey, it's the land of second chances. Um, so do we miss anybody? Oh, of course, and now we have Alex Leatherwood, 2021, and then of course Trayvon Mullen, 2019 second. So yeah, it's clear that the Las Vegas Raiders are looking to clean house here. We want to draft our own guys, and it's crazy because of the fact that when John Gruden was here, like he bought over Mike Mayock, who was like um, on NFL Network at the time was the guy. Like he knows all, sees all as far as college prospects. He was the guy. Like he has his own TV show and everything. So I'm like, okay, John Gruden bringing this guy Mike Mayock, he might be on to something. But the Clinton Farrell pick that was a reach. I was shocked when I saw that pick. Like I'm like, yo, this messed up the whole draft. Literally messed up the whole draft, honestly, with that Clinton Farrell pick. But it's I just hope just for fantasy purposes, I'm really hoping Josh Jacobs goes out with a bang this year for the Las Vegas Raiders. But coming across that 23 minute mark, I think we're just going to go ahead and call that a pod. We are just right around the corner for the beginning of the NFL season. So again, be sure to go ahead and sign up with BetUS. Uh, our sponsor gambling site, excuse me, where you can receive over 125% in bonuses upon sign up using the NFD promo code. Link will definitely be in the description. Excuse me. You can go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on our Twitter page. Also, go ahead and please hit that like button, subscribe button, and most definitely share. I was just a random thought. I was just thinking the Thursday night game, it will not be in audio form. It is only going to be a video form on a YouTube channel. So definitely, if you want that Thursday night game betting odds and spreads, you're definitely going to have to watch it on the YouTube channel. But you know what it is? It's the Not for Debate podcast. I'm up out of here, man.
Nah for debate. Not for debate. We don't care what you say. Not for debate. Not for debate. Not for debate. We ain't hearing what you say. Is not for debate. Fire!